This is something that
I don't understand it.
I don't think a lot of people do. In fact, I would guess 99% of the listeners out there, because I don't even have a complete handle on it. I keep referring to the rules, and I have them saved here somewhere in my text chain with some folks and I'm talking folks who cover the team who I was talking with.
Get out.
No, but listen, if I don't know.
Well, because we haven't seen it yet, in fairness.
And I don't care if you were the most diehard football fan, how much XFL were you consuming?
Zero.
When they plucked this rule from them. And by the way, they still made some adjustments to that. Listen, do you know? Because this
quiz me. I'll be honest. Go ahead.
This was a source of contention. I had to look this up.
We like you said, we watch a lot of football. Black and Abdallah love football. Jurko and I love football. We consume a lot of football. I've never watched the XFL. To your point. So, now go ahead. I don't see if I get any of this.
So,
I remember reading through it when it passed.
Yes, but it's hard when you haven't actually seen it. And I've now seen it in practice for probably 5 or 6 different OTAs / mini camp sessions.
I haven't even seen that.
Yeah,
so.
and it's different. So you're aware of the fact that there is now a landing zone, right?
I have read about the landing zone. It's between the 20 and the goal line. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
The kicking team needs to place the ball in the landing zone. Now, there are generally, I think most teams are going to have 2 returners back. And once the ball either lands on the ground in the landing zone or the returner touches the ball.
He can catch it, right?
Yes. Once he touches the ball or if it lands in the landing zone, that is when the defense can now run.
That much I knew.
Move from
same with the players on offense that aren't the returners.
Correct.
Right? They can't move either
until the ball is either received by the kick returner or lands in the landing zone.
In the landing zone. Okay, so that I did know.
So here's the thing. Are you familiar too? Are you aware of where the touchback goes now?
It goes to the 30. Is
Correct.
That right?
And that was a lot of people are because there's multiple ways now. Like one instance, if it goes through the end zone, it goes to the 30. But if it comes up short,
What do you mean? If it lands in the end zone but doesn't go through
any kick that hits short of the landing zone, treated like kickoff out of bounds. So then it goes to the 40.
So the 21. That means that if it hits the 21-yard line,
yes.
Then it's treated like an out of bounds kick, which goes to the 40.
Goes to the 40.
So you've got to get it in that zone. I'm telling you, this is why they drafted Torrey Taylor.
It's crazy.
You watch. This is why they drafted Torrey Taylor.
Very possible, although I will say Cairo Santos has been setting up and doing this.
Okay.
Although Torrey Taylor's kind of been in the mix, but not actually kicking.
All right, so it's got to land in the landing zone or else it's pretty penal, obviously. It's like kicking it out of bounds.
But here's the thing. So as you watch this unfold, what you see is that Velus Jones, for the most part, has been returning the Bears' kicks. And it seems like, again, remember, there's no tackling in, mini camps and OTAs.
Pads,
But, they kind of go through the exercise. And what you see is that it seems like because teams are able to seal off easier, that big plays, I think, are going to be possible much more often than they were in the past.
Because the defense doesn't have much of a head start.
Correct. They're only 10 yards apart
from
the offense, and they don't have that flying start like they had to get downfield, where it was it's
now
easier to engage
get it. Right, yes.
for the blockers, I believe. And now what you've heard around the league is people like Dave Toub talking about how the kicker comes into play about 25 to 40% of the time, where he's either the last guy back who's like ushering them out of bounds or actually making the tackle.
Let me ask you this, and then I want to play Dave Toub. Can you, if you are in that landing zone, can you fair catch?
No more fair catches.
There's no more fair catches.
Not unless you're in the end zone.
Okay.
And then it's like a touchback. Yes, where it goes to the 30.
But it's going to the 30.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Here, play the Toub. This will explain it a little bit.
This is Dave Toub. Is Dave Toub still? He's in KC, right? Yeah, Toub's still Andy Reid's guy. This is Dave Toub, former legendary Bears special team coach, who is the special teams coach for the defending champion Chiefs.
Kickoff strategy.
Yeah, you have to think about that.
Yeah, we're thinking about it a lot. I mean, we practice what we're doing now. We're taking every day and we're working either on kickoff or we're working on kickoff return. Today we worked on kickoff. So what we're trying to do there is, without giving everything away, but we're trying to get the ball on the ground, away from the returners as quick as possible, because that's when the kickoff team and kickoff return team can go, as soon as the ball hits the ground in the target zone. not when it's touched. So unlike the XFL, they waited till the ball was touched before they went. So that's the difference. That's a major difference between our rule and the XFL rule.
How are you evaluating Lewis and Justin Reed as far as kickers on the kick?
I like to have somebody that can go back, is able to make a tackle. I mean, Bucker's able to make a tackle, but I really don't want him making tackles all year long. If you watch the XFL, we watched every play.
Got to get home so his wife can serve him his
Kickers
dinner.
were involved in probably at least 25 to 40% of the tackles. Either trying to make a guy bounce back or making the tackle itself or just missing the tackle. So, we don't want Bucker in that situation, but he will be a kicker. He'll be a guy that we will use in certain situations. He's got a lot of ability to move the ball, whereas those other guys may not be as, apt to doing that. And, we'll use him. He can still kick a touchback if we need it. You're just giving up the ball. If we do kick a touchback out of the back of the end zone, now they're getting it out to 30 instead of the 25. So that 5 yards makes a big difference. I mean, that's another 3% chance that, you're giving the offense against you to score. So.
It's a good explanation. It's interesting to hear him say what the mindset of these special teams coaches is. We got to get the ball on the ground in that zone as quick as possible.
And that's why, to your point, I do think Torrey Taylor might come into play, especially. I don't know how well he can kick off a tee, the way he can place it with the, with the punts. But if he can do it, if he's better than Santos at putting it in those spots, I could very easily see him start to be. And he's bigger, by the way. Torrey Taylor
huge.
Is like 6'3", 230.
You'd rather him having tackle
So
somebody.
yes, if you need him to make a tackle, it's much more likely. But here's my question. How quickly do we see a couple of big plays? It might start happening in exhibition games, and all of a sudden, I know Dave Toub just said there that it's 3% more likely that you'll score points if you move it to the 30 as opposed to the 25. But you know what's also more likely? You're going to give up touchdowns if the kick returner breaks off a run, right?
So you're saying, and I think I know where you're going with this, at what point do coaches realize they'll sacrifice the 5 yards? Because even though that percentage might go up 3%, they don't want possibly someone starting on their side of the field or breaking off. Yeah,
exactly.
I see what you're saying.
Very quickly, they might recognize that, you know what? The 30 is certainly worse than the 25, but the 30 is better than your own 30.
Absolutely.
Or into the end zone.
So they're going to have to see how this goes. You're right. They're going to feel it out.
A lot has been put into this. They want to bring the kick returns back into the game. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if very quickly we find out that coaches are like, there's no way I'm going to continue to risk this kick. Now, listen, if you have a kicker who can kick it away from the returners and put it on the ground, I can see the benefit of potentially recovering it yourself if you can be good at it, right? And don't forget, onside kicks, you need to declare now.
Right.
So, you can't
make it even harder.
Like I said, it's this whole new rule that seeing it up close and personal at minicamp and OTAs the last few days, I'm fascinated to see what comes about from it.
Yeah. Actually, it makes it more interesting, at least in the short term, to see if we get big, exciting plays. Everybody misses that. But I think Jeff's onto something. That depending on how much it starts hurting teams, they might analyze all the data and say, we'll sacrifice the 5 yards, kick it through the damn end zone again.
And
I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised if next year, if you do see that, all of a sudden everybody's kicking touchbacks anyway. Then watch him move the touchback to the 40.
Yeah.
Then you'd be like, now we really need to kick it in this, quote, landing zone. But I don't think the 30 is punitive enough
you
for
might
coaches
be right.
to start risking these long kick returns where everybody back there seems like they're Devin Hester. And we don't have to play it. But Mike McDaniel yesterday pointed out he thinks that he won't be surprised if the best running back and wide receivers want to start kick returning because they see how easy it is to break off big plays.
Yeah.
Again, if they're not kicking it out of the end zone.
You don't necessarily need to have the great vision that Devin had or the feel that a great returner had.
If Tyreek Hill gets the ball and all he has to do is just bust it through, especially the Dolphins. think of all their speed.
Think about Xavier Worthy all of a sudden getting a ball in that landing zone and he's got 15 yards in front of him.
Absolutely. And and the way it's designed. So I'm fascinated to see how it plays out.
By the way, you heard him mention Harrison Butker there. Funny story. A couple of weeks ago, so it was right after Harrison Butker, and I was with my brother, one of my brothers, and my sister-in-law, and their kids and my kids, and we're having dinner, and my sister-in-law was playing a game with my daughter and my niece, who's 8.
Okay.
Almost 9. And, it was something like, she's like, okay, name something that you'd find here. Name something you'd find there. She goes, name something you'd find in a kitchen. And my niece goes, a mom. And my brother and I immediately pick our heads up from the table. And we go, at the same time, we go, okay, Harrison Butker. We both said it at the exact same time. And my niece has got no clue. My daughters are like, what? What does that mean? And we're dying. I'm like, all right, Harrison Butker. Oh, my God.